Okay, in this video I'm going to show you the process of making your Zentangle Square, and there's basically 3 steps that I'm going to go through. The first one is drawing your 3 thumbnail sketches for your string, and then the second step is going to be laying out the patterns of where you want them, and then your final Zentangle drawing. So for the first step, you're going to get a sheet that has these 3 rectangles on them. And before you even start drawing or anything, you want to make these rectangles into squares because your final drawing is going to be in a square. So these are 3 inches across. So I'm going to measure 3 inches on this square and this one, and then draw a line to make all 3 boxes a square. And remember, a string is just a random design that you're going to draw to get the areas that you want your patterns to be in. You're going to do 3 different string sketches. The first one is going to be organic. And remember, organic lines are curvy, they're found in nature, they're free-flowing. The second one's going to be geometric, and those are your straight lines. And then the third one is going to be your choice. You can do whatever kind of design that you want to do. So, for the first one, organic, it's going to be curvy lines, and your string just needs to be something simple, because you want to create those areas, these little area shapes that you're going to put different patterns in. And remember, when you're creating your sketch, you want to make sure you have at least 10 areas, because you're going to have at least 10 Zentangle patterns in your final design. So if you want to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, okay, I definitely have 10. So that's my first sketch of organic lines. The second one is geometric, and those are straight lines. And again, just a random pattern. Okay, and then again count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Alright, and then the last one is going to be your choice, so you can do whatever you want. You can mix the organic lines and the geometric lines however you want. Once you have these 3 sketches, then you're going to pick the one that you liked the best. And for me, I think I like this one. So whichever one you choose, the next step is going to be drawing that same string again in your sketchbook, except you're going to do it larger this time, because this is going to be your layout design that you're going to do. And basically this step is making sure that you know exactly where you're going to put each pattern before you start the final. It's going to help you figure out which Zentangle patterns that you can or cannot do. So like I said, whichever one you pick, you're going to redraw it in your sketchbook and make sure it's a square. And it doesn't have to be exactly like your sketch, just similar. Like that. So this was my sketch, and I just redrew the same string in my sketchbook. Underneath that, you're going to draw a rectangle, and again, this does not have to be perfect. You don't have to use a ruler unless you want to. So you're going to draw a rectangle, and then you're going to draw a line down the middle, and then you're going to draw 4 lines, because you want to end up with 10 squares. And these are the squares you're going to practice your pattern designs in. And remember, you have to have at least 10. You can have more, but you have to have at least 10. And out of those 10, 3 of them need to be original designs. Okay, so for 7 of them, you can look at the books, you can look up patterns online. Okay, I have a bunch of examples here. So 7 of these, you can find ones that you like. And then the last 3 that you will need to make up on your own. Alright, so the next step is to go through, look at the patterns, see which ones you like, and you are going to practice them in pencil in your sketchbook. And so let's say I like this one right here. I'll practice it right here just with my pencil. And it doesn't need to be perfect, but you do want to try and make it look good, because if you try something, you want to be able to know that you're going to actually be able to do it when you do your final design. Okay, so I'm going to go kind of fast just to show you. And I would finish this square. That would be my first one. And then I would go through and find different ones that I like to practice and fill up these 7 squares. And then the last 3, again, I would make up my own designs. So again, whatever you want, whatever comes to mind, don't think about it too much, just as long as it's an original pattern. Okay? So again, I would fill that square up, practice it, make sure I can do it. When you have all of them, this is what it should eventually look like. So I had 10 squares, and I practiced 7 of them that were from a book. And then the last 3 I made up all by myself, their original designs. And then I went through and I labeled them. Because the next step is going to be placing them in your string where you want them. So for this one, after I was finished, I would go through and I would label them 1 through 10. Like that. And then I would write your number down in whichever area you want that pattern to be. So I would put, maybe 1 there, 2, okay, so you have to have at least 10. If you have areas that are left over, you can either repeat some that you've already done, or you can come up with a completely new pattern and add another one. So this is what the final would look like for this second step of laying out where you're going to put each pattern on your string that you designed. The next step is going to be your final. And your final is actually going to be square. You're going to have a square piece of paper. And you are not going to use pencil at this point. You're only going to use your Sharpie pen or your fine point Sharpie, because there's no erasing. If you mess up, you work with it. So you will keep your layout design that you did in your sketchbook right next to your final, because you're going to use this as your design. So for your final, you want to again get a square, and you're going to leave a white border. And at this point, if you want to use a ruler, you can. I'm not going to, just for time's sake. Okay? And then you would copy your string design that you did. So at this point in your project, you should know exactly what you're doing, where you're putting patterns, what patterns you're going to use. You have figured out everything already. This is just your final design. And then you will again use your layout and figure out which patterns are going to go where in which areas, and you will fill them in. And again, only using pen, so if you mess up, you just keep going, figure out a way to fix it, and then eventually your final should look something like this. So for this one, this was my first step, 3 string sketches. I chose this organic one. This was the second step, the layout and practicing my patterns in my sketchbook. So this is the same string design as this one right here. And then the last step is taking this design that you've done, the layout, and transferring it to your final design. And you should end up with something like that.